welcome to Life Coaching Access, your daily access with professional certified life coaches brought to you by Life Coach Philippines. Life Coach Philippines is our community of professional life coaches certified by the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs, a bona fide institute for mental health that is based in Dallas, Texas, USA. Life coaching is our service to the community, and we aim to help individuals experience the process of transformation through the platform of life coaching. So, if you want to know more about our international coaching classes and services, please connect with Coach Rizel through 0917 586 1661 for 1661 for assistance. We do have an upcoming certification that would be a virtual certification. So if you're interested to join us and be part of our tribe, be a change agent, do connect with Coach Rizel. The certification class would be on October 24 and 31. So just connect to the number 0917 586 1661 for further inquiries. So I am Coach Tin de Joya, and this is my segment. This is Relationlift, rebuilding from broken trust and boundaries. Your access with me is every Monday at 3 p.m. So for my segment today, I will be sharing about uncovering core values in marriage. So what makes it important to have or to know your core values? So please tag your friends in the comment below and invite them to join our conversation. You may also share this FB Live to your timeline and FB groups and pages so that we can reach more people and help transform lives. So today we're going to be talking about core values. If you remember, the last time we talked about the foundations having of having a relation of knowing your relationship. Hold on, let me just do some updates here. So it's important when we talk about the foundational aspect of the relationship, we focus more on what are the values in it, but we never really did talk about the values. So today we're going to be talking about having that core values. So before that, let me introduce myself for those who has joined me or seen me for the first time. I am Coach Tin de Joya, the better half of the mind from Pasig City. Yes, I'm referring to Coach Sean. He is also a certified life coach. So I am a mother of two teenage kids. Yep, malalaki na po ang aking mga anak. And I am now a full-time life coach. But previously, I worked in the corporate for more than a decade until I decided last year to quit the corporate and focus more on life coaching. So as you see, if you remember last time we have been talking about, let me just say hello to our viewers out there. We have Master Coaches Mean, of course, and we have Coach Maureen, Coach Clint, and Coach Candy. Thank you for joining me today. And for the viewers out there, I would like to invite you to also post your comments on the. You can also post your comments below to really to engage with us today. You will be learning a lot, and what makes it important to really know our core values. So previously we talked about the building blocks or the how do you make a rock solid relationship? What's the foundation behind the relationship? So now it's the core value. So if you think about it, for those who are married, hello, when you started out the relationship, dumating ba kayo sa punto na nag-usap kayo ng partner mo, ng boyfriend mo, or ng girlfriend mo about the values that you both have or the family values that you grow up with? In fact, if you think about it, we often marry without really talking about the core values that we have. So you would what is the core value of the person you will marry, and what is my core value as well? We never really talk about it. In fact, for those who were married in the church, if you think about it, there was not even a discussion of what your values are. If you're familiar with the pre-Cana, this is a seminar that is conducted in churches. I'm not sure if all churches do this, but from the Catholic and yes, we have a pre-Cana wherein we discuss about the importance of marriage, what is the value of marriage, and the biblical perspective of marriage. But we never really touch on the values. Nakakatuwa nga eh. Me and my husband first got married we were civilly wed. And of course, as a bride, although it's civil, may expectations ka na yung there would be a kind of ceremony during the wedding. So ano ba, nakakatuwa lang yung nangyari nung first time that we had our civil wedding. So that was way back in 2002, 2000. Yeah, it's 2000. No, 2002. Yes, it was in 2000. Nakalimutan ko na yung exact year. So when we were wed, syempre ito civil. Syempre, di ba when you see it in the movies, in teleseries, even if it's a civil wedding, there is the option that the judge or the presider of the wedding sits in a table, right? Sits in front of the table, and the two of you are opposite there. And then there's like some words of wisdom, mostly advices that they give out to you to help you out in your journey as a couple. But yung sa amin, wala pong ganun. Nakakatawa kasi pagdating namin, I think nagmamadali ata si Judge. So what happened was, um, andun pa lang ako sa pinto, sabi niya, asan yung ring? So, syempre, dala namin yung ring. Tapos sabi niya, o sige, wala namang reklamo sa'yo, di ba, na wala namang pumipigil, hindi naman kayo pinigilan, ikaw din hindi pinigilan. Sige, suot niya na rin yung ring. Hindi pa kami nakakaupo na suot niya na yung ring, and then, sign the paper. So, ganun lang talaga yung civil wedding namin. Parang wala talagang ceremony man lang na I was expecting that there would be, and of course it's not grandeur kasi it's civil, pero alam mo yung we were expecting that the judge will sit in front, and then you will be someone will be talking and giving you the words of wisdom. So walang ganon. So fast forward to 2013 when we had our church wedding. Well, the church wedding was really good. It was very simple. Tapos doon namin na-experience yung, syempre ganun pa din, there was no talk about the values, but it's more of how you can keep the marriage, how you can keep the relationship, and and what to do when you're struggling in the marriage. Okay naman siya. Pero alam mo, there was really no focus about the values that both of you have. So, when you think about it, core values is the foundational core of a person's being, which supports every decision a person makes. So, ano siya it's the very core of your being. Ito talaga yung nagdadala sa'yo kung ano yung mga decision mo sa buhay, and how will you face a certain situation, how will you respond. Because it's your guiding principle. If you remember in one of our classes with Master Coach, it's your true north, it's your compass. So when we got married, of course, in civilly and in the church, we never really know what our values are. But I know that we hold on to something, we believe on in something, and that is what we use to guide us in the relationship. So me and Sean really struggled when we tried writing down our core values. And in fact, yung core values na yun, nasulat namin siya when we were already life coaches. Because I cannot remember a specific time that we discussed about it. And in fact, it was so hard for me. Um, a background story, why I think, so what makes me think that your core values is important in marriage. I came from a dysfunctional family, so as long as I can remember, 4 or 5 years old, the most, I I I can remember that my dad just comes home. Separated sila ng mom ko eh. He would just go home every day, either morning or afternoon, and hours lang, and he will just ask how we are, check on us, and then leave again. So I'm so used to not having my dad at home. So if you think about the foundation I have when it comes to values, wala. Wala talaga. Um, Parang for me, it's so normal eh, na may tatay ako, but hindi ko alam kung ano talaga yung family, ano talaga yung... Kasi we were living with my lolo sa isang house, since Chinese. So usually Chinese families are housed in one house, one compound. And then we occupy the third floor, and my grandfather occupies the first floor. So every day, what usually happens is the nanny would fetch me from the third floor and bring me down until evening before bringing me back up with my mom. So wala talaga akong specific memory of how it is, what's the foundational core I have when it comes to creating a family, what's a family. What I can remember, what I can really remember is me and my mom and of course my brothers stayed up on the third floor, and I remember my mom just lying in bed. Syempre, no one explained to you why. All you know is, wala lang. Andun lang siya, nakahiga. And I would often see them quarreling. Lagi lang talaga silang nag-aaway. So as I was growing up, normal sa akin yun eh. There was one incident that made a mark on me na my mom and dad were quarreling, and I saw my dad tying my mom in a chair. Hindi naman niya sinaktan. But you see, they have raised voices. So it was, sobrang, yun sa akin, vivid, that particular scene. So when I was growing up, I said to myself, when I have my own family, I don't want to be a weak woman. Kasi weak yung tingin ko sa mom ko eh. So maybe that was one of the foundations or the value that I carried with me, the strength to really be able to overcome anything. Maaga akong nag-mature. In fact, 6 years old, buhay pa ng lolo ko eh. So, we have the luxury in life. Pero, I go to school alone. Mga ilang blocks lang naman yung school to our house. But I go to school alone. So, I never question pag hinahatid ng mga dads nila yung classmates ko. Nakatingin na ako. Wala sa akin. Parang, it was so natural for me na, okay, may tatay kayo, hinahatid kayo, ako wala. Parang accepted ko na yung ganong yung ganong scenario, yung ganong situation. So, sabi ko, pag ako nag-asawa, but actually, nakakatawa kasi there was a moment na I said to myself, I'm not gonna marry kasi ganito din lang naman pala magiging ending ng life na you get to separate and all. But you know, God has other plans for me. So, yun, I got married and all. So, pag binabalikan ko siya, when we were writing down our values, wala talaga akong maisip. It was really so hard. Ano ba sabi kong isusulat ko dito? Tapos I check out kung ano ba meaning ng values. So, sabi ko, so, kasi if you think about it, so for everyone watching, do you really know the values that you carry individually? And as a couple, what values do you hold on to? Do you really know your values? Share it in the comment box so that we can really see if um, some of you are really aware of what values are. So do share it with me kasi in my experience talaga I never really thought about what the values are. So sabi nga, values are the principles that gives our lives meaning and allow us to persevere through anxiety, through adversity. Um, we learned our values from our parents or the caretakers who had influenced us as we are growing. Values help you find your purpose, help you react in difficult situations, helps you make decisions, and helps clear out clutters and your sense of self. So, ganun siya. Pero pag inisip mo siya, di mo talaga may isip na, ano ba talaga yung value ko? Will I really be able to write it down? Actually, nagawa talaga namin yung values na to when we were already life coaches. Although, if you want to know more about your values, if, for example, you don't really know your individual values and your family values, you can message me. I can send you a copy of it's a quiz on how you can find or really know what your core values are. And although you can also search in the internet, there are quizzes that you can check out to help you out know the value that you carry and the value of the family that you have. So, sabi nga ni John Maxwell, your core values are the deeply held beliefs that authentically describe your soul. So, core values are fundamental beliefs of a person. It's the guiding principles that dictates your behavior and can help people understand the difference between right and wrong. Pero di ba minsan may isip mo, so my values is also my conscience? Pero iba kasi yung value talaga eh. Um, if you check it out, my core values na pwedeng negative. For example, self-driven. Self-driven is also a core value. But if you take it in a different perspective, you might see it as being selfish, that you only do things that you want to do in regards of the others. So, may pagka-negative din siya. So, for example, some people may be driven by the self-interest or maybe greed. So, you have to really take a look at the core values in a perspective of whether it is positive or negative for you. I think in the certification class, Master Coach Lakendra has this wherein you have a specific core value and we have the positive and the negative. If this is pag nasobrahan ka, eto ka. And then positive negative, naalala ko siya dun sa sa certification classes. So it's really up to you on how you look at your values. So in marriage, core values acts. These are some examples of the core values that a person might have. And in marriage, the core value acts as a marital constitution. So it is important that we know what are our core values and how we can align them or complement them with your partner if you have opposing core values. Since core values are imbibed in us, at times we take this for granted and we are often not aware of the core values that guides our everyday life. Remember, values are about what you need in order to live your life authentically so that you can be happy and feel good. These are about your what makes you a person of value and also what you see as valuable to others. So actually values works in tandem with your boundaries, which are your personal guidelines of what you are prepared to accept in the relationship. So dapat kasi alam mo din talaga yung value mo kasi ito nga din yung magdi-define ng boundaries mo in the relationship eh. So sabi nga ni Coach Phoebe, I'll just gonna read some comments. Sabi ni Coach Phoebe, knowing the individual core values. Ito kasi, yes, it's important talaga to know your core values because this will also help guide you through in life and also when you are already in the relationship. This will be your parang compass that will hold on or that your relationship can anchor to. Sabi ni Coach Lynn, I remember that what will happen pag sobra siya and kung kulang. So yun nga, you have to really define your values and take a look at it whether nasobrahan ka ba sa value na yun or kulang ka. Kasi may ano siya, for example, love. When you are when you love, you give your all. So wala ka na para sa sarili mo. So yun yung parang yung negative niya. But when siya yun yung positive niya, you give all. Pero yung negative niya is nagkulang ka naman ng love sa sarili mo. How can you really give if you don't have that? If you don't have any more to give or anything to give. So, kay Coach Ed, I agree, umabot na rin ako dito. I thought I have a gift of celibacy pa nga, and yes, God says the otherwise. Naming and identifying our core values is really very important. Yes, it is. I may naalala ko sa'yo dito, Coach Ed, eh. I think we were attending a kapehan night, I think, or coaching for the soul, wherein you were asking something about the negotiables and non-negotiable. Ito kasi yun. So when you enter into a relationship, you need to have that negotiable and non-negotiable. You need to be able to identify them. Pag non-negotiable, hindi talaga siya pwedeng mawala sa'yo because that would really define you and the boundaries that you will allow for on how you engage with people. Kaya minsan, di ba, there are abuses because iniiwan natin yung value natin eh. Parang, sige, dyan ka na lang kasi kailangan ko lang itong isatisfy. So, may mga ganong moments. So, so knowing both your core values, you and your partner can give you the clarity and peace when making choices with your spouse. You can connect with each other by understanding and reacting to each other with a deeper kindness. Kasi mas maiintindihan mo kung anong perspective or saan ba siya nanggagaling. Kaya ganun siya minsan mag-react. Or ikaw din, ano ba yung core values mo, kaya minsan ganun ka din mag-respond. So here's a core value list that you can check out. Although this, you can also search it out in the internet. These are the possible core value list that you can have. So most often kasi we don't really know the exact word to define our values. Hindi natin alam kung ano yun. What we only know is that we just hold on to a belief that sets our decisions or our actions. So example, in our case, me and Sean have different values, although there is something that we have in common. So for example, there are you have different values with your spouse, it's okay. Hindi naman porke magkaiba yung values niyo, you call it quits. No, it's not. You find a way to find an alignment and to make it complement with each other. So for example, kay Coach Sean, ang top 3 values niya is really time. So respect the time, value the time that he gives. And then trust. Trust is really different from honesty. Trust is more of a firm belief in the truth. It's more bank on kung si trust is kung si honesty is more on I think honesty is more on the action, being able to speak and act with all honesty. Si trust kasi is more on the emotions. So the belief inside yung trust. So and the other value that Sean has is respect. So, giving due regards to the emotions, feelings, or wishes. While ako naman, it's more on family, respect, honesty. So, di ba pag nakita mo, parang hindi parehas yung value namin. But, how are we working in the relationship that he can hold on to his values and I can hold on to my values and align those values for the family. So dito mo makikita how the values are in work. Um, Although you have to be mindful of the order of your values. You know why? Because if there is a change in the order of values, it might affect the perspective or how you look at your relationship. For example, for me, sabi ko kanina, my top three is family, trust, and respect. Sorry, family, respect, and honesty. Kay Sean pala yung trust. If, for example, I put honesty more, or I put honesty on top, that means that if one of my family members is not able to be honest with me, pwede ko siyang tanggalin. Pwede kong sabihin, ayoko kasi na ano mo yung value ko ng honesty eh. But since family is the topmost for me, ano man ang mangyari, family kami. Pwedeng na-break niya yung honesty part or the trust part, but I can still accept the person kasi the highest or the top value for me is family. Pero syempre, knowing your value would allow you um, to be in a place na parang you're able to say stop because you are overstepping my boundaries. So may boundary ka. It's not because ito yung top value mo. You allow the person to abuse or do something that is against your value. So meron kung may degree yung may level yung values and may degree din kung hanggang saan yung kayang i-allow. So, you have to check it out. Sa values kasi, what you can do is really focus more on how you can, I think the best steps that you can do in checking out the values that you have, you might take the first step is make a list. List down your personal core values, everything that comes to your mind. Then, once you're able to write down all the values that you think you have, start the process of segmenting. So, with that list, try to pick up the top 5 values that you hold on to or you believe in. Ito kasi yung use the formula of why. Why is it important to you? Why is this value important to you? Then once you're done with the top 5, finalize what you believe or be your list of core values. Because this will really help define who you are. Kailan mo talagang mahanap yung value na yun? Then investigate on the values that you have. Do they really exist? And make the effort to go through in understanding them, and then start using it to test if that is really the value that you hold on to. Kasi at times, confusing din ang values eh. Madami ka kasi, minsan kasi may mga overlapping values, but remember that there is always top 3 or 5 that really Na parang siya talaga yung non-negotiable mo. So, we need to really establish our core values as a couple and as a family. So, what's the benefit of knowing your core values? First, you make better decisions. So when you establish your core values, it is easier to decide kasi di ba may guiding or may compass ka that says that it's right or it's wrong. It's not actually a matter of it's right and it's wrong. It's a matter of what matters to you most. Why do you do what you do? Why did you choose this decision? So the why behind that decision. So ito yung guiding parang compass that really guides you to make the better decisions. Automatic siya sa'yo eh. You know, if, kasi may mararamdaman ka naman pag hindi talaga tama yung, pag bumabangga siya sa value mo. And then, you also have better reactions. When you know your values, you're able to really, um, you're, you're able to align or it is easier to react because it's easier for you to remove the emotional charge to a situation by allowing yourself to reflect. For example, your value is kindness. Um, nagkaroon ng situation na nagkasagutan kayo ng partner mo or sinagot ka ng anak mo. But since you're kind enough, you're aware of your values, that it's one of the things that kindness is a value that holds you. You will stop and really take a look at the person in a different perspective, then allow yourself to react properly instead of responding to your emotions. And then it also allows you to avoid distractions. When you know your values, you're able to check to check in your values. It allows you to do the important things. For example, your value is time. Di ba minsan um, you're busy, pero may moments na minsan ayaw mong kumilos. So gagawin mo, you will divert your attention to other things. But when you are aware that your value is time, may parang check ka na, uy, teka lang, ano yung ginagawa mo? Balik muna ulit tayo sa dapat mong gawin. So, you avoid the distraction to na you allow yourself to be distracted. It brings you back into focus because you know that the value is, you know your core value. And then, of course, it increases your confidence. Because when you know your values, it is easier for you to talk with people, to express yourself, and you also know the boundaries. Ano talaga value equals or is connected to your boundaries. You know kung hanggang saan lang pwedeng iset yung, you know where to set the boundaries. So you're able to express and say no. And then, of course, when you know your core values, it's easier for you to increase your happiness and fulfillment. You know you're making better decisions, making better reactions, you're able to avoid distractions, you're able to set up boundaries. So it increases your happiness hormones and a sense of fulfillment in your life. So, yun yung import. So, in a relationship, importante na both of you know your core values because whatever struggles you went through, this would really help you anchor yourself. Siguro nga, naisip ko nga, in my own perspective, parang if people who are going into marriage really know their values, di ba parang mas maganda siguro, at least hindi madali sa kanila magsabing hiwalay na tayo. Because they know that there's something that they have to hold on to. They have to go back to their values and realign it for them to be able to continue with the relationship. Although, syempre, it's case to case. What if there's an abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse? Syempre, ibang usapan na yun. Pero, most often kasi, when we don't really know our values, madali lang bumitaw. Kasi alam mo naman sa sarili mong may mali, pero you go with it pa din eh. You allow yourself to go with the flow. Kasi nga, hindi nyo talaga napag-usapan kung ano yung core values that the two of you holds on. So, what makes it really important to know your core values? So, to those watching, if you know your core values, share it out, and if you don't, start writing down your values. It might come in handy. It always comes in handy when you're able to know the core values that you have. There's actually a science in values. Imagine that this is a body of water. Are you familiar with the swimming pool with the sea, right? And you know that there are the orange thing, we call it boys. No, not boys, but boys. BUOYS. It's something that signals, or parang it's something that that allows you to see kung hanggang saan ka lang pwedeng mag-swimming. Kasi if you go over that voice, pwedeng hindi mo kayanin yung flow ng water and you could drown. So imagine that life is like that, a sea of water. So life presents an endless series of decisions, large and small, that requires you to make difficult choices. So while many factors are involved, the critical factor in deciding really relies on your core value. So the box or the block that you can see down below is your values. And then the voice or the one floating your your behavior. And you can see the chain. The chain is this one. The line that connects the behavior and the value. So that's the chain attached to the voice. Ito yung dito mo mafe-feel yung tension, and then so it's the attitudes, the emotions, your motivators or motivations, and your will. And then of course the tide of life. So for example, when you have your values, when your values is when your values is hold on, ano ang aking notes. So the value is the huge block stuck in the bottom of the sea. Dapat fixed siya. Di siya talaga nagagalaw dun sa ilalim. And then the voice or the behavior is your are the voice. So when the tide goes up, it goes up. When the tide goes down, it goes down. So fluctuating siya. And then the chain attached to the voice and the blocks are your attitudes, your emotions, your motivation, and will. So that is where it causes the tension. So when you behave in a certain way because of the situation, the tension will either it will strength it will lengthen or it will shorten depending on your behavior or the tide that affects your behavior. So how do you behave when you are stressed? So what are the values that you hold on when you are responding? So example, um, let's say my value is patience. Eh, dun sa behavior, the tide, yung labas, there are instances na, kunwari, sobrang pasaway ng mga bata, and I get mad, I get angry. And then, of course, my behavior will change. Kasi if I reacted to the tide. So, paano ngayon yung attitude, the emotion, and the what I have? Kaya di ba minsan yung respond in anger, you forget about, nagkakaroon ng tendency na napuputo yung chain connecting your behavior to your values, which is dapat hindi talaga siya napuputol. because you always have to go back to your value. So that's an example of that's the value, the science behind your values. Bakit pag minsan nakakalimutan natin na to respond properly when we are triggered by our outside environment or the people around us. So nawawala yung value. So you really have to be mindful of how you are holding on to your value. So I encourage everyone to look yourself in the mirror. How much time do you spend really taking a look at your values and the chain to be able to manage your behavior? Pag medyo mahirap, you can always connect with me and let's talk. Or you can connect with Coach Rizel at 0917-586-1661 and let's have a chat about it. So that's how you see the importance of really knowing your values because it really affects your behavior and how you are responding to your environment. So, you know why I use apples to describe core values? Because apples have core. And yes, it makes the apple sweet or sour, it depends. But the core of the apple is what makes it an apple, the essence of being an apple. So we always think that values are important. So let's take a closer look with your core. Use this to find your values. It's more about the center. Center yourself. Know what makes up your core. It is the center of your being. It boils down to your self-awareness. Both you and your partner should come into the awareness of who you really are, and you have to be conscious of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. When you know your values, it is easy to make healthy actions. So, would you be willing to lose everything to stay true to your value? It is about the value you place in the center. So, why do we do what we do? When you are intentional of your values, your motives will be pure. This is about being honest with yourself and having that integrity. So, when you are able to center yourself, you know in you what needs to be done. You know in you what needs to happen because it is the why in what makes you do what you do. Then ownership. Own yourself and your work. Ownership is the key ingredient of fulfillment. When you work, make your values align with it. It is the willingness to be responsible. It also promotes the value of quality. Since you own it, you will do your best for it. So when we create an attitude of ownership, we do not allow our ways to be to the whims and ways of circumstances and the choice of others. Ownership is doing what needs to be done. So when you find your value, find your core, but use this as your guide. Center yourself to know what is in you. Own, own your responsibility. Own yourself because it is you who needs it, who needs that value to be able to show the people your value and let the other people know your value. It is how you can set your boundaries and renew renew your spirit. Simply put, you cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot have what you do not replenish or fill up. Imagine your spirit like a bucket with a leak. It leaks over time and eventually becomes empty unless we refill it. The challenges that we face are the adventures that we can use to see our values to overcome the bumps in the world. When we become optimistic, we have fun, and we have the sense of curiosity, our spirit renews as we allow the voice of our values to speak in us to follow what has been destined. So center yourself, own yourself, renew your spirit to get down to your core. And lastly, engage. Engage your potential. Be engaged with others so that others will value your potential. Be a steward. Leave something behind that can be valuable to someone. Be of service. Make a connection. Check your attitude. Give service. Show up because when you show up, your value increases. So when you are able to get to your core, you know who you are and you know what stands true to you. So that's it for me. See me again on Monday. That's for episode 3, knowing your roles effectively and how it helps in the relationship. And do email me at coachtindjoya@outlook.com if you wanna connect with me, or you can contact me at 0917-806-4200. You can also like my page, Coach Tin de Joya or Coach Tin. And you can also subscribe to my group, Just When You Think Marriage is All About Love. So that's it for me today. And see you again on Monday for another episode of Relationship for Life Coaching Access. Thank you so much.